In the beginning, we see Bae Jin-soo, a man in dire financial straits. Having been scammed by an investor friend, Jin-soo finds himself owing 900 million won to loan sharks. Despite taking on various odd jobs, including washing high-rise buildings, he can barely scrape together enough money to survive. Faced with mounting debt and despair, he contemplates ending his life by jumping off a bridge. Just as he is about to leap, he receives an unexpected deposit of 4 million won in his bank account, and a limousine arrives to pick him up. Jin-soo is taken to a mysterious theater where he is invited to participate in The 8 Show, a reality game with intriguing rules. Participants are promised payment for their time in the game, food, and accommodation. The prize money increases the longer they stay, and the game ends when the allotted time on the timer runs out. However, the game is terminated if a participant dies. Jin-soo is given the choice to participate by selecting a number as his ID, or to take 20 million won as cab fare and leave. Initially skeptical and suspecting a sinister motive behind the game, Jin-soo considers leaving, but changes his mind when he receives only a small amount for a week's wages from his boss. Realizing that his current life is bleak, he decides to take a chance on the game and picks the card numbered 3. Entering the studio, Jin-soo finds himself in a building with 8 levels and a timer set for 24 hours. He accesses the 3rd floor, or 3F, which contains a plain room equipped with a scoreboard, intercom, cameras, a screen acting as a window, a uniform, and a rulebook. Additional rules specify that participants must store their belongings, wear the uniform, and purchase items at inflated rates that remain in their rooms. Items can also be bought in the square on the ground floor. Moreover, participants must stay in their rooms from midnight to 8 a.m. and are forbidden from blocking cameras, with violations resulting in a deduction of half their prize money. As midnight approaches, Jin-soo hurriedly changes into his uniform, and the game officially begins. He is surprised to see he earns 30,000 won for just passing a minute in the game. He calculates that by staying for 24 hours, he could earn 43 million won, enough to significantly reduce his debt if he stays for a week. However, Jin-soo soon encounters challenges. The room is cold, and he needs to relieve himself. Attempting to purchase a blanket, he discovers it costs an exorbitant 1 million won. Drawing on his resourcefulness from living in poverty, he buys discarded newspapers, a cardboard box to sleep on, and an empty bottle to use as a makeshift toilet. By morning, Jin-soo has accumulated over 14 million won. He ventures out to the square and meets the other 7 participants. The timer has increased to 35 hours. He quickly assesses their personalities and circumstances. 1F limps and refuses help. 2F is cold and rude. 4F is scared and cautious. 5F is friendly and mediates conflicts. 6F is cocky and thuggish. 7F is logical and smart. And 8F is bubbly, pampered, and stylish. The participants discover that everything in the square is fake, and that items purchased in their rooms cannot be taken outside. They need to buy waste bags in the square for basic necessities. Despite 4F's concern over spending, 7F suggests a vote on purchases, while 6F impulsively buys cigarettes. Meanwhile, 7F deduces that time spent buying items in the square deducts from their prize money, calculating that a minute is worth 2,500 won. Despite 4F's panic, checking her scoreboard confirms their prize money remains the same if they stay within the rules. They decide to buy essential items like buckets, toilet rolls, sanitary pads, garbage bags, and cigarettes after lengthy discussions and compromises. However, food becomes a pressing issue since they haven't eaten. 8F then reveals she received 12 different meal kits but initially refuses to share, pointing out she didn't know she was supposed to. 5F attempts to mediate, while 7F proposes using the chute on each floor for food distribution, starting with 8F. Climbing to 8F, they discover her room is the most luxurious, with a large window, bathtub, dining table, and mirror. They also realize that 8F earns 340,000 won per minute, while 1F earns only 10,000 won, revealing the unequal nature of the game. Then, with a dramatic twist, the concept 1AT in the 8 Show title rotates to form an infinity symbol, leaving everyone intrigued about the show's true nature and the challenges ahead. We see a flashback to 8F's arrival and introduction to the game. As the second participant to join, she arrives wearing a gown, exuding excitement and cheerfulness. Her enthusiasm leads her to jump into a fake pool, resulting in a broken nose. Once in her room, which is initially empty, she smokes a cigarette, gets fully naked before changing into the uniform, and burns her old clothes. As the game begins, 8F discovers that she earns 340,000 won per minute. She quickly begins to splurge on luxurious items such as silk nightgowns, beds, pillows, toilets, a mirror, a dining table, books, and bathtubs. Despite having access to 12 sets of meal kits and various types of water, she barely eats and even uses the drinking water for bathing. She spends all her money but earns it back while she sleeps, illustrating the ease with which she can accumulate wealth compared to others. In the present, the other participants reveal their earnings. 7F earns 210,000 won per minute, 6F earns 130,000 won, 5F earns 80,000 won, 4F earns 50,000 won, and 2F earns 20,000 won. 7F theorizes that the prize money follows the Fibonacci sequence, which creates the golden ratio, making it visually pleasing for a TV audience. As they inspect each other's rooms, they observe that the rooms get progressively smaller and more Spartan. This discovery leaves the group conflicted, while 8F's carefree enjoyment of her trampoline annoys them. For food, 7F proposes a plan where each participant selects one meal and the leftovers are placed on the first floor so everyone can eat together to foster trust. However, chaos ensues when 8F uses up the shared time to buy more clothes, leaving them with only 13 minutes. Panicked, 2F confronts 8F, who claims the timer can be extended via the stairs, but insists 2F apologize for her rudeness first. In desperation, 1F starts running up the stairs, prompting everyone to join. They continue running up and down until the timer resets to 24 hours. 8F reveals that she knew the timer would increase because she had noticed this pattern during their initial room tour. After the day's events, Jin-Soo reflects on 7F's hypothesis that the game is designed to make the participants fight. He realizes they can only win by cooperating. Frustrated with his makeshift toilet, Jin-Soo orders a porta-potty. That night, while others suffer with minimal essentials, 8F prances in her new clothes, and 7F diligently records their observations. The next day, they all begin running the stairs to extend the timer, ensuring they earn money and have food daily. However, the 12 daily meal kits are insufficient, leading them to form two teams that alternate on the stairs. With leftovers going to the team running that day, they choose odd and even numbers, but 2F refuses to join the even team because of 8F, so 1F joins instead. One day, 1F's worsening leg causes him to fall, almost causing an accident. When 6F twists his arm for wasting time, everyone is shocked and 2F steps in for him. The next day, exhausted 2F runs her actual turn. On another day, when 1F struggles again, Jin-Soo volunteers to take over. Though exhausted, he feels good about helping. Now 4F's suggestion to give 1F's share to Jin-Soo causes tension, but 2F argues that the even team already benefits from 8F's share since she barely eats. Despite his guilt and hunger, everyone insists that 1F eats the leftovers. As participants sub in for 1F, he starts storing everyone's waste in his room using the chute. This makeshift society divides 8F's meal leftovers among the rest, with 2F subbing whenever she can, and 1F receiving extra necessities. However, 1F's room soon fills with waste, and the stench makes Jin-Soo struggle to eat the leftovers. He joins 7F, who notices a glitch in the game. It is revealed that the time has been slowly reducing, despite their consistent stair running. The next day, everyone else notices the timer slowing down. 8F tries to take a break, leading to a confrontation with 2F. 8F argues that those on the lower floors should work harder since they refuse to spend their money, revealing that the upper floors are effectively doing more work. 6F realizes this too and takes a break, prompting others to join the remaining team members. Despite running for 6 hours, the timer does not increase until the last minute before midnight, when it suddenly goes up by 20 minutes repeatedly. They dismiss it as a glitch. The next morning, the timer fails to reset, prompting frantic stair running. During this, 4F has a seizure, and they need to order medicine. 6F refuses, arguing that a seizure is not life-threatening, and gets aggressive with 2F. The group intervenes to stop 6F and order the medicine, resulting in a bloody struggle. Amid the chaos, they hear 8F laughing. She points out that the timer has increased by 40 hours. At the end of the episode, 7F realizes that the game's success depends on being entertaining. The cameras are always watching, and the show thrives on the participants' drama and conflict. We see a glimpse into 7F's background. Before starting the game, 7F meticulously investigates the studio, showcasing his methodical nature and attention to detail. In the present, the participants come to realize that the timer extends when the viewers are entertained. Jin-Soo tries to engage the audience with mukbang and ASMR, but these attempts fail. He is interrupted by 7F, who appreciates Jin-Soo's earlier assistance for 1F. It is revealed that 7F doesn't send his waste to 1F's room, which increases Jin-Soo's trust in him. They discuss strategies to keep the audience entertained, understanding that the content doesn't have to be purely humorous, and that violent acts might be suggested to extend the timer. During the group discussion, 8F predictably suggests wrestling. However, 7F steers the conversation towards comedy, eventually landing on the idea of a talent show. 7F kicks off the talent show by playing a recorder with his nose, impressing everyone, and extending the timer by 20 hours. He also proposes that they need to decide collectively when to end the game. 5F suggests that 1F, who earns the least, should make the call. 1F states he needs $1 billion, which means they would need to remain in the game for about 2.5 months. This motivates everyone, with 8F aiming for $34 billion, ensuring all participants are committed. As the talent show progresses, each participant showcases their unique skills, winning varying amounts of time. They perform acts such as singing, breaking tiles, high kicks, sliding, and even off-key yodeling. Jin-Soo, unsure of his talent, dances awkwardly and secures only 18 minutes. He expects 1F to fare worse, but 1F surprises everyone with his mime and clown tricks, securing the most time with 30 hours. Lastly, 8F claims her talent is in bed and chooses 6F, who eagerly participates. Their performance secures a whopping 69 hours, resulting in a total of 5 days added to the timer. With the waste still accumulating in 1F's room and no more stair running, the group debates on whose room will store the waste next. They decide to vote. Jin-Soo fears he will be chosen since he scored the lowest in the talent show, while 4F, who is second last, manipulates 1F, Jin-Soo, and 7F to vote for 8F. 4F worries when 6F calls out 7F, but Jin-Soo still trusts him. However, 6F tells 7F that he and 8F are voting for Jin-Soo, and 7F agrees. On the day of the vote, it ends in a tie between 8F and Jin-Soo. A flashback reveals 6F's attempt to sway 2F, who ultimately votes for 8F. Despite losing, 8F remains undeterred and even celebrates, with the timer extending by a day due to the voting and scheming. Jin-Soo confronts 7F about the unexpected third vote against him. Aside from 6F and 8F, since 5F abstained, 7F admits to casting the third vote, but advises Jin-Soo to move on. Meanwhile, 1F bonds with 2F, grateful for her help in sorting the waste in his room, making space for him to sleep. As tensions rise, 4F needs to use the toilet, but 8F refuses to let her. Confused, the group tries to reason with 8F about the vote, but she is indifferent. She escalates the situation by taking all the food for herself and leaving empty kits for the others. Now we take a look into 4F's backstory, highlighting her indecisiveness. Initially, she picks the number 8, but eventually settles on 4. In her room, she struggles with deciding what to buy, constantly writing affirmations to encourage herself. In the present, the participants are suffering from a lack of food, but they gain more time as the audience enjoys their misery. 4F, who has low blood sugar, is barely conscious, and 5F begins to hallucinate. 2F wants to end the game, but 1F begs the group to continue, as he needs the $1 billion to survive. Jin-Soo also agrees to keep participating, realizing he cannot face the loan sharks without winning the $900 million. 4F offers to take half of the waste, as she too did not secure much time in the talent show. 7F takes it upon himself to explain the situation to 8F, who easily agrees to their terms. She demands only to buy clothes with the money she secured by withholding food. The group is desperate to please her, but 7F considers it a fair deal, since she isn't devising worse ways to make them suffer. 1F and 2F graciously refuse to send their waste to Jin-Soo, but he becomes overwhelmed by the others, questioning whether 4F is taking her share of the waste. It turns out she isn't. Meanwhile, 8F introduces a game called King, where participants pick numbers anonymously. The person who becomes king dares 2 others to perform a task. The dares become increasingly wild until 8F dares 2F and Jin-Soo to make out. When 2F refuses, 8F changes the dare to a fight between 2F and 6F. During the fight, it is revealed that 2F is a trained fighter, but her injured hand from breaking tiles in the talent show worsens when she throws a wrong punch. This gives 6F the chance to overpower her and beat her severely. 8F refuses to stop the fight unless 2F surrenders, but she is unable to speak. The men finally intervene to stop 6F, who rejoices in having secured them multiple days of extra time. To prevent further violence, 4F proposes a new rule. If someone wants to skip a dare, they can get tased as a punishment. When Jin-Soo is dared to grope 5F under her shirt, he chooses the taser instead. He blacks out and pees himself. But this act secures even more hours than 6F beating 2F. 30 days have passed since day 1. The role of king alternates between 8F and 4F, and if 6F is selected for a dare, he almost always wins. The frequent losers are Jin-Soo or 2F. Eventually, 1F figures out that the game is rigged. For instance, during the coin toss, 4F can feel heads or tails with her palm, due to the heavily embossed coin, and she always flips it to the side 6F calls. Angered, 1F, 2F, and Jin-Soo share their theory with 7F. 7F already knew that 4F and 8F were picking the king ball by making it sticky with acetone. He catches 4F one day and advises her to play fair so no one catches on. The next day, 1F pulls the king ball and dares 7F and 8F to a coin toss. He asks 4F to use the back of her hand to catch the coin, preventing her from flipping it. Jin-Soo feels a sense of karma when 8F loses. However, before 7F can tase 8F, 6F intervenes, kicking 7F and tasing him instead, declaring it is time for a plot twist. We see the backstory of 6F, who is characterized by his carefree and reckless behavior. He litters, frequently gets naked, and only orders a pillow to sleep on. In the present, 7F finds himself in 8F's room along with 4F and 6F. The trio brings him over to their side, needing his help to control the chute that delivers food to the lower floors. They purchase more tasers and bats, lock the square's intercom, and break the intercoms on the remaining floors. This initiates a new dynamic. The upper floors are now in control, leading to a game within the game. Every day, 1F, 2F, Jin-Soo, and 5F are forced to participate in a random game with violent penalties. The winner must execute the penalty, and afterward, 9 coins are distributed. The lower floors have to secretly request a certain amount of coins. If the total exceeds 9, they receive nothing. Each coin can be exchanged for water or food. The first game is hide and seek, where the upper floors beat those they find. 6F, as usual, goes overboard with the violence when he finds 2F, but 7F intervenes to stop him. Jin-Soo wins the game, and the penalty is a human piñata. Blindfolded, he apologizes as he ends up beating 1F. For the coins, Jin-Soo tries to be altruistic by selecting only 1 coin, but everyone else chooses 2 coins each. The next day, the game is 20 questions. Jin-Soo rigs it for 2F to win, hoping she can handle 6F during the human piñata penalty. However, 2F, unable to gauge her surroundings, accidentally hits Jin-Soo instead. This cycle continues and 47 days pass. At one point, all 4 floors request 3 coins, but since the total exceeds 9, they receive nothing. Jin-Soo loses hope and contemplates suicide. The lower floors attempt their first revolt by refusing to go to their rooms. However, a diabetic 5F gives in when 6F offers 10 coins to the first person who stands down. Desperate, 1F comes up with a plan. On the right day, he will signal Jin-Soo and 2F to come down the chute to his room. He will then lure 6F in and beat him. 7F overhears this plan and warns Jin-Soo that the chute makes a sound when it stops at each floor. The lower floors worry it might be a trap, but they realize 7F is telling the truth. On a particular day, they notice that 4F, 6F, and 8F are bored, with only 7F overseeing the game. They realize it is time when 1F signals that he is sick. Early the next morning, 1F starts screaming for help. 8F, 7F, 6F, 5F, and 4F wonder what is happening and go to check. 6F realizes something is wrong with 2F and Jin-Soo missing and hands 8F the taser. He barges into 1F's room where 2F and Jin-Soo attack. It becomes chaotic as they stumble over waste bags, but 6F escapes. He grabs the taser and shoots, but it does not work because 7F had removed the batteries. At the end, 7F signals to them, and 2F, with her healed hand, knocks out 6F. We see 2F's backstory. She is a constructor and the last participant, so her only option is to choose the second floor. In the present, 4F, 6F, 7F, and 8F are tied up. The others attempt to take revenge but cannot bring themselves to commit any violent acts. Jin-Soo approaches 7F, hoping he was forced to team up with the upper floors. 7F simply apologizes and the rest let him go, acknowledging his help. He even wipes his eyes, leading Jin-Soo to believe he is emotional. They leave 4F, 6F, and 8F tied in their rooms, keeping the doors open but still bringing them food and assisting with their waste. The participants are in awe of 8F's room and spend their days there enjoying the amenities. Initially, 2F stops them from spending 8F's money, but when 5F suggests buying a soju recipe, 8F's cocky attitude gives them the go-ahead. They buy millions worth of equipment and make soju. 2F offers a glass to 7F as a peace offering. They have a great time, but 2F suggests ending the game, willing to give from her share to help 1F reach $1 billion, as they cannot stay any longer without compromising their dignity. 1F and Jin-Soo are unhappy about leaving, but a silent agreement is reached. On the last day they bathe, wash their clothes, and prepare to leave. Jin-Soo would make $2.3 billion, 2F would get $1.5 billion, and 1F would receive $766 million. However, the next morning, the timer suddenly extends to 45 hours. 2F is the angriest, as they wonder who entertained the showrunners. It turns out 6F's toenails have been pulled out, and the next day, 4F's tooth is pulled, extending the timer again. Frustrated, 2F locks everyone in except 5F, who will check on the tied-up prisoners. Guilt starts eating away at 5F as the prisoners whine about their pain. She soon hallucinates 2F freeing 4F and 8F. Excited, she tells 6F that he will be freed soon. He pretends that 2F is going to kill him and begs 5F to free him. Meanwhile, we see 5F dreaming that they have all won, patched up, and are about to leave happily. It cuts to the prisoners beating up the rest. We then see 5F's backstory as she enters the game all paranoid. In the present, 5F unties 6F, who instantly frees 8F and 4F. They regroup and beat up the rest of the participants before tying them up. 6F ties 5F as well, and to show his gratitude, he forcefully kisses her. He then orders a gun and starts playing Russian roulette to find out who pulled out his toenails. He shoots 7F, but before he can get to 1F, Jin-Soo has an idea. 1F can buy the CCTV footage to find the culprit. 8F spends $100 million to get the footage and is ecstatic to see 1F using chloroform on 6F. Meanwhile, 6F is horrified as he watches 1F pull out his toenails and then pee on his face. He rushes to kill 1F, but 8F tases him. He falls and breaks his back. She reasons that he is too hasty and she doesn't want the game to end. She unties 5F, but ensures the rest are tied and left in their rooms. She buys the CCTV for all the rooms and is turned on by their pain. But she soon realizes that, like her, the game runners are getting bored. She then has an idea: sleep deprivation torture for the tied-up participants. She is delighted by their pain and starts painting. 5F, numb from the horror, mechanically takes care of the participants. 4F goes along with the flow, even cleaning up dog poop when 8F buys a dog. Meanwhile, Jin-Soo starts cracking as he imagines the 8 show is all in his head and the participants start dancing around him. Then 1F tries to win 4F to his side. He apologizes for pulling out her tooth, but she understands, admitting she too would do anything for money. He grabs onto that as he asks if she wants to move to the 8th floor. She doesn't believe it is possible, and we cut to 1F's backstory. 1F arrives in a clown costume before heading to his floor. He sees his scoreboard in the small room and asks the intercom if he can switch rooms. It turns out he can for 1 billion won. Now 4F plans a coup, sharing her strategy with 2F, Jin-Soo, and 7F to switch rooms with 8F. Jin-Soo questions why they're sneaking around instead of confronting 8F directly, doubting she would actually pull the trigger. 4F explains 8F's dangerous obsession with guns. 8F's routine involves watching CCTVs at night and golfing during the day with 4F. Bathing is the only time she lets go of the gun. 4F finds a drunk 5F and convinces her that the participants are on the brink of death, getting 5F on board to free the tortured participants. On the day of the plan, things go awry when 8F decides not to golf. 4F convinces her otherwise, and once they're outside, 5F frees 2F. As she heads to the 3rd floor, Coco, 8F's dog, spots her and starts barking. 4F distracts 8F while 5F frees Jin-Soo, who struggles due to his stiff limbs. Now Coco goes berserk, drawing 8F's attention. 5F and Jin-Soo hide in 6F's room, but 6F starts screaming. 8F hears and barges in, but 4F knocks her out with a golf club. Taking revenge, 5F castrates 6F for the forced kiss. The backstories of the participants are revealed. 8F is Song Se-ra, a faded performance artist. 7F is Mr. Yu, a washed-out scriptwriter. 6F is a disgraced baseball player. 5F is wealthy but disrespected by her cheating husband. 4F is a valet mocked by a former classmate. 2F is a construction worker struggling with financial burdens. And 1F is a clown trying to save his daughter's life. Once 8F is tied up, 1F decides to switch rooms with 6F first, followed by 4F switching with 8F. He purchases the instructions for switching rooms for 1 billion won, only to find the actual rates are much higher. 2F offers to share her prize money, but she cannot stay any longer. As they head to the square, 1F suddenly pulls the gun on them, needing the game to continue to increase his prize money. To increase the timer, he starts jumping on a tightrope. However, the projector falls and bursts into flames, and 1F falls into the fire. With the lower floors tying each other loosely, they escape and try to extinguish the flames. The timer changes to 1440 hours, but Jin-Soo and 2F shoot all the CCTVs, causing a digital blackout and resetting the timer to 0. The door finally opens, but it is too late. 1F apologizes to his daughter and dies. Because he died after the game ended, the participants have won. 8F tears up, thinking it is a great ending for the game. Following the mental and physical torture, Jin-Soo wastes away at home. He knows the game was real because his bank account shows the prize money. Despite the game deducting half his money for destroying the CCTVs, he still has over 1 billion won. He learns that the game lasted 2.5 months and was never televised for a public audience. Jin-Soo decides to pay respects to 1F and advertises the funeral date. 2F, 4F, and 5F are the only ones who show up. Jin-Soo tracks down 1F's wife by looking up Seoul circuses and learns that 7F gave some of his earnings to her, claiming 1F is working overseas. On the other hand, 6F doesn't show up but sends a condolence wreath. Meanwhile, they see in the news that 8F destroyed the art gallery, using all her money to pay damages, and is now in prison. Satisfied with her ending, they all go their separate ways at the end.